Yeah, that's right. AI helped me get into a ceramics exhibition, a medium that's predominantly physical, and I don't 3D print, and though I do a lot of digital manipulation of imagery, I also don't use AI-generated imagery in the digital manipulation of my work. Also, I can assure you that I didn't use AI to brainwash the panel of jurors into selecting my piece. If I was that skilled digitally, I would have also won the grand prize. Then you're asking, well, how is it that AI helped you get into this international ceramics exhibition? My use of AI was actually really straightforward and basic, honestly. I used it to clean up the photograph that was used to submit to the exhibition. So if you don't know this already, almost all juried exhibitions are screened initially from a photograph. And so it's really important to set a first good impression with the work. So I need to tell you the circumstance of the photo shoot to be able to appreciate why I ended up using AI to clean up the photo. I have access to a larger room to take photos, but my time was limited because it's also a classroom, and the window of opportunity that I had to take the photo from when the piece was done and when the submission had to happen was short. And then I used a photography grad student to help me with the setting up of the light, and they were more familiar with the camera used to take the photos. So we got it in the big room, but I needed to keep the whole piece, because it's a 5-foot piece that's really heavy, on the cart in order to move it around during the photos, and also to just be able to set up, get the photos, and then exit the room before classes started. So that was the circumstance. What I needed to do was get the photograph cleaned up. I didn't like the floor at all anyway. The walls were black, which was fine for the piece. And then I had to leave it on the cart, so the cart obviously couldn't be in the photograph. That just didn't work. But tell you what, why don't I just get you into the computer and show you what I did. All right, we're in Photoshop. And I'm going to run you through how I took this photograph and got rid of the cart and generated a new floor. In this new version of Photoshop, that's great, is this select subject. And I can just click that, and that will pretty much grab the subject really well. There's a little tweaking that I would need to do. But in this case, it's also obviously grabbing the cart. And I don't want the cart to be part of the subject. That's part of the point of this fix. And so I'm just going to get the quick select tool selected and then hold Option, and let's start to get this selection off the cart. And there's a few spots that it's still, and if it stays selected, when I did the trial run, it's impacting the quality of the floor, the AI's decision making when it's generating the floor. And the next step is to select inverse. So I'm control clicking, selecting inverse, and then I'm going to feather this a couple pixels. Hit OK, so it's not super harsh. Then I'm going to deselect the top part down to where the floor would meet the wall. And that I'm using a rectangle selection tool for that, and then holding Option down again, and then dragging that. I'm not used to the trackpad yet. Down to where the floor would hit the wall, and then it's time to generate a new floor. So add here, smooth, dark gray, concrete floor. See what we get. That looks pretty good on the first option, actually. It's a little light, but I can probably adjust exposure, etc. Let's see what the next one is. Oh, I like this one. Yeah, third one's the charm on this one. It fades out back. The shadows for the sculpture keep it sort of placed. It's smooth and looks clean, but still gives it character. All right, that's the one. That's as easy as that is. So if there's, so I'm gonna select this one, and then if there's still work that I need to do on the image, I could come over to the layer and control click it and rasterize the layer. And then in doing that, then I can start to treat it like a photograph again. So if there's like just a little, like if I don't like this little line right here for whatever reason, I could go and stamp that out, or take the patch tool. Like if I just don't like this spot, I could just patch that out like that. Maybe this line is distracting. There's a few floors that I got where the information was a little bit, it was pretty good, but I wanted it a little cleaner. Similarly, I could come in and burn the shadow if the shadow wasn't coming in as strong as I want, but this looked good. And so the card is gone. The floor looks good, like it looks like the piece belongs in a good space, and it's clean. Like the background is clean, you focus on the work when they're viewing the work, but it still provides a context that feels like it's a significant object. You want to highlight, and it is. If you're going to take all this time to make something and submit it to a show, you want the image that you use to apply for shows to highlight the importance of that object. Get a good photo. That's very possible with even an iPhone camera. If you have access to a better mirrorless or digital SLR, use that. Lighting is almost more important than even the camera at this point. And then if your context needs improvement, it's super easy to use generative AI to improve the context of your photograph. Obviously, you don't want to change any aspect of the artwork that you're applying with, because when you send them the piece, it has to match the photograph. And so the only change that you should do to the piece is trying to get the photograph to represent the piece as accurate as possible. So changing the exposure, changing contrast, changing saturation, temperature, the things that give you the truest color quality, and creates a situation where the image of the piece emulates what the piece looks like in person in the most accurate way. But yeah, that's it. So that's how I used AI to help get me into this exhibition. I made a video of making the crate to get that. The crate was over 400 pounds to get the piece to safely to Japan. So if you want to know how to ship large ceramic work internationally, I have a video that shows you how to do that, or shows what I did to do that. And the next video I make is probably going to be talking about mark making, what I think about mark making, and why I make the marks that I make, and how they sort of are arranged on a ceramic piece to comment on aspects of consciousness and memory. To the most accurate AI. I also don't generate AI in mother. I also don't seriously, when the camera's on, I can't talk. It just doesn't work. The first part of a screen. Okay, I'm gonna stop now.